Hey, what is up, everybody? Jeremy here. And guys, I'm very excited for the conversation that we're going to have today, not just for the topic, but also for the person I'm going to chat with today. Somebody I have known for a number of years in the podcast space. She's doing some very cool things. She's an investor. She is the founder and CEO of Broadcast Your Authority, a team-managed, data-driven content agency specializing in marketing and creating micro-content repurposed for weekly podcasts. So Tamara Thompson, thanks for hanging out with me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeremy. I really appreciate it.
So I guess the people on this podcast, since this is our new feed, may not know your whole story, but we're really focusing on what you're doing with Broadcast Your Authority. And I'd love to hear, like you've built a 7-figure business, you've had to pivot a little bit in the last couple of years, and you've kind of really found your jam with where you're at now. So catch us up on that.
Yeah, so a little backstory. I used to own a production company years back. I had done some things in the filmmaking realm and had entered film festivals and won a bunch of awards and got films picked up by IndieFlix and had content go viral on YouTube. And that was my beginning path. And then after that, we actually thought to ourselves, we wanted to help more people. Mm-hmm. And my zone of genius was, of course, content on viral on YouTube. But at the same time, we wanted to help people that were consistent. So why not help podcasters or YouTubers with weekly shows? And so when you have an agency that can build and help people and all the clients have to do is push record, I mean, it was a no-brainer. So we actually started with one client first. We tested the system, went through the process, and then we said, this is it. This was our shift and pivot. And we actually pivoted right before COVID hit. And at that point, a lot of people are actually moving online because people were looking for things to do for their business differently during COVID. And so we were able to grow rather quickly with this agency model, and super grateful for that opportunity to help business owners, thought leaders, influencers, even Fortune 500 companies and things like that. So we have a vast portfolio of who we've worked with, and it's those people that have sustainable companies that are really looking to delegate basically one hub that does it all on that side for your podcast marketing. So super grateful to be able to do that shift.
It seems like in some ways that's kind of prophetic, though. Like, you kind of made the move right before, the proverbial shit hit the fan. You know what I mean? So it's, I guess well done on you on kind of seeing something before it happened.
Yeah, no, you always have your intuitions, your feelings, and your guts, and you want to just follow those at any point when you have those intuitions. And when we had a mentor also say, like, I think your company would be really good at this. You already have this essence of YouTube and understanding optimization, and you have your own podcast and you love podcasts. So why not do something to help other people that can keep a consistent flow for their shows? And I was like, no brainer, shift and take action with that. So we did, and we did really well just getting going with that. So yeah, it just made sense. And because we promote video, it's video podcasting turned into other things. So we've actually encouraged clients to shift from just the audio version to video and things like that. And so it's been cool to give people the confidence to do that as well and grow their YouTube channels. So because things a little bit differently where people are like, oh, it's just a podcast. I'm like, it could be so much more than just a podcast. It's your show, it's your brand, you're optimizing on YouTube, which is also optimized for Google. So we have our clients popping up at the top of Google because of their podcast, because of the YouTube aspect. So that's what's really important, is that optimization, that data-driven point of what we do too. So
let me ask you this, because I know like a lot of creators have seen struggles with this in the past few years. Is like how we get audiences and where audiences live have changed a lot. And I know even for myself, right? Like we've had this. I've had a podcast for 8 years now, and my first 4 years, I was really hesitant to do any video. Number one, because I don't like being on video. But number two,
you look great on video. Look at your studio.
Yeah, now, not 4 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, there's definitely a process of learning, like, how do you light something correctly? And like, I'm still a noob, right? Like, I'm still learning a lot of this stuff. But like, there's a lot of things to learn and know and do it well. So I had a lot of hesitation to kind of doing that. But at the same time, the thing I was struggling with, I know a lot of other people are struggling with, is it's harder to get views in places like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter than it was years ago. And I guess for you, how have you kind of seen that ecosystem change? And I guess how is moving to video kind of the right move?
Well, obviously you see with the way that micro content's going for video, I'm sure you see when you start swiping through and scrolling through your feeds, you've got Instagram Reels, you've got TikTok, Meta, Facebook Reel, things like that, and YouTube Shorts at this point. So it's the micro content that's getting people's attention, and it's introducing people to people that don't know you yet. So you have the opportunity to have this viral tendency and get new following based from the micro content piece. But when you're scrolling through it, you'll see a lot of those are actually created from podcasts, right? So it's informational content, it's inspiring content, it's educational, it's got influencers on there that people like to follow. All the big dogs, but also the small dogs in the pond are doing this that when they're getting into the content marketing system. And that's what we do and create as an experience for our clients, is creating those little snippets, those tips, those inspiring points, those snippets of having like a large influencer on a show, be like, oh, cool, because someone might click on it and be like, oh, I recognize so-and-so, and then they'll be like, oh, whose podcast is this? And it might be somebody that you know, or you might know, or somebody that you want to follow. So we've actually been able to like fine tune this, stay up to date with things. So when things shift with the creativity aspect of like captions, things that pop, and how long the reels should be, like all the micro content, it's really those that micro content's pushing back to watch the full episode. So people start to get engaged with that. And that's really what's helped our clients grow. We had a client that was hesitant to get his podcast on TikTok. He started at zilch, like crazy. Like he was like, I don't want to go on TikTok.
I'm new there myself because I don't know. I feel like TikTok is all like dancing videos and like, I don't know. My wife dances. I'm not a good dancer, Tamara. I'm not a good dancer.
I do not dance either. Like it's definitely changing. So, and people are using it for business at this point and getting brand deals and other opportunities. And that's what's unique about it. We've had several clients that were hesitant to go to TikTok. We had one influencer podcast, and he was like, I have like 200 subscribers. Like, what are we going to do over there? I'm like, we're going to repurpose your podcast because you have a really rocking podcast. Like, you're like top in your industry. I was like, why not go over there? Right. And so started going through there, and the ones that did well for him were the how-to videos. And so when he started doing that, we gained 40,000 subscribers on TikTok for his channel in less than 60 days.
Wow.
And so that was amazing. That was from the micro content for the podcast. We had another client that was like, I don't want to do TikTok. He's like, my audience isn't on TikTok. And I was like, I bet you they are. I was like, you can still go through a qualifying process and have conversations, but you can still build fans and rapport with people and have people have conversations like, hey, watch so-and-so. Someone might know somebody else that might be a client. You never know. And there could be a teenager or 20-year-old watching it and be like, hey, mom, you need to hire this person. Like the people are on there watching things. And it was great because I'm actually talking about a case study similar to this when I speak at TNC this year, but we're going to talk about like how this whole case study went from basically building this guy's TikTok out, and basically within 30 days, we calculated and did a survey, like how many people overflowed back to YouTube channel and Instagram. He grew over 400% in followers back to the overflow, back to the other channels, just because he had new followers on TikTok. So, and he's got over 10,000 followers on TikTok, and he started from scratch. So you can see what the content can do for your podcast, if it's solo educational content or if it's interview based or inspiring, whatever it is, like no matter what type of content it is, as long as it's inspiring, educational, or entertaining, it's going to get some sort of traction. And then when TikTok and YouTube and all the other pages are like, let's put you on the For You page, boom, it's like this. It's great. Like once you start seeing that one video go, the rest of the videos start to take off, and then we say, hey, double down on another podcast on a similar topic so that you can start getting people, because your audience just spoke basically on what they like.
It's like a survey by viewership, which is kind of cool. And that leads me to a couple different questions here. Because like, and I'm not super structured, by the way, so I apologize if I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. But like the thing I'll say, like, because I'm looking at this as a creator, and I guess like when you, and also a consumer, right? Like one of the things you look at is I feel like a lot more people are doing video content, right? Like, which is good, but I think it's sometimes you have to stand out and be different. So I guess in that case, like, what works to get noticed? Like when you're looking at it and you're working with your creators, like what things are you telling them to do, or what are you working with the content to actually get noticed, right? Because there's a lot of people doing video and they have no views, but there's something about the content. I guess when you're looking at that, what is that?
Yeah, so it really depends on the person, the industry, and things like that. So, well, we start with data-driven topics first for what people are actually searching for on YouTube and Google. So they'll record that for the main show topic. So we have opportunity to optimize for YouTube and Google first. But then, of course, we're taking those fine points. You're not going to just pull just like a little snippet of some random point in the episode that just doesn't make sense. Right? So there's different ways that you can make that micro content stand out, of like a catchy headline up on the thumbnail or up top, add some, trending music. Another thing that we do as a trick is actually use the trending sounds and the trending music, but if it doesn't go with the brand, you're going to bring that volume all the way to 0. So your video is going to populate.
You're capitalized from it being there, but they don't have to listen to it.
Exactly. So it's just a little trick. It's a little tip. Some people might be like, oh, what's this video? Click on it. And they're like, why is this in this page, or it's trending, or it's on the For You page? People will click on it to watch it because it's in the trending area, but you might not be utilizing it, or maybe you're bringing that music or that sound like really low. It's just a way to start getting trending in some different ways. So it's a little bit being creative and a little different way of thinking on that side. So yeah, and like I said before, it's really about like finding like some of those ones that do go viral and start creating more of that. And then kind of testing the waters here and there, because once you see a couple of them go, you're like, okay. And then you want to comment back to the people too. So I don't know if you've seen this with people, but sometimes people might have like big egos and they're like, I don't want to go in and comment or talk to people because I have influence or something, like whatever it is. But the way that you go in and actually engage, if you have your assistant or a social media manager or somebody go in there, like you want to talk to these people because it's just going to keep pushing you up more to the For You page. And so that's what's really like helpful, is the engagement or answering, even if it's like a little emoji, like hands up, high five or something, because people will start answering people's questions. But also like with TikTok, you can do video responses. So we've seen like some of our influential clients, like they'll go in and surprise somebody and do like a video response, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's really them. It's not their social media manager. Right? And so they'll do a response, and then people can do responses on that, and it keeps the engagement going over on TikTok with your podcast micro content. So it's really unique, it's creative, and our team's really good at just paying attention to what's going on and shifting, because you can see companies and marketers go out, and I could see something and be like, oh, that was last year. Like that was so last year.
Well, like everybody on Instagram for a while was doing those like static images, like a 3-second reel, and then Instagram caught on to that pretty quick now, and now they're down ranking a lot of those. It worked really well for like 6 months. So it's like at the same time, it's understanding, like, I guess, with what you're saying here, understanding what has legs and longevity too.
And on which platform too, right? So like the trends that go on TikTok, it might be like 60 days before that trending music, you like recognize it. You're like, where have I seen that or heard that? And you're like, oh, I saw it on TikTok like 60 days ago. But they'll start picking it up on Instagram and Meta. And so you're like, but they're still making it go trend on there. So just pay attention to it when it goes trending on Instagram versus TikTok, because you can still take off on Instagram with that trending stuff, but it might be behind a little bit on what's going on with TikTok. So they're always competing with each other, and it's going to be like that for a long time until another awesome platform comes out to, for micro content. So
let me ask you this then, like, one of the hardest things in podcasting is we have very few metrics other than our downloads. Like, it'd be nice if we could get subscriber numbers somewhere, but it's just really hard to because that is one of the biggest things that changes you on a chart. And operating with video is a little bit different, right? Because you get a lot more numbers. And I guess for you, what numbers are you watching? Like, what statistics are you monitoring to know that, like, we're seeing growth, we're seeing the right type of growth, and if we do more of this, we're going to grow more?
Yeah, so we really do track YouTube. So our main focus really is the video podcast, no matter if we're pushing it out to like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that. Of course, we're tracking those downloads as well. But because video has always been our primary focus, and optimizing that correctly, and having opportunities to potentially go viral has been kind of our jam. And so it's like, well, we know that YouTube can go, connect to Google, so we want to track that too. But usually it's more like, what's the watch time on it? Like when you start watching the watch time on it, you see how long your viewers are actually staying on, right? So if you have a 30-minute podcast and your average video is played for 19 minutes, then we say, hey, you don't have to, but we recommend you creating content that's like 20 minutes long. If you're open to it, if not, that's totally fine because you already have your structure. But if you're creating like some split shows, like half your shows during the month are solo episodes of teaching educational stuff, why not create 20-minute content to hit really close to that 19-minute watch mark, and then your guest interviews be focused for 30 minutes? Then YouTube starts recognizing more about like that and pushing you out in suggested videos for YouTube. So then you start populating on other people's pages more. So we're really watching the watch time and making recommendations to what we think that the length of their content should be. And so our clients have been able to take off in different ways and restructure their shows. So a lot of our clients do, solo content for the authority and positioning and guest shows. Again, some people are like, I only do guest shows. That's totally cool. Then we suggest, hey, why not invite guests on there that their names are actually highly searched in Google, so that you can actually use their names, your guest, as the main keywords in that video. And then that can help also get suggested content as well. We had a client that started with us. He had 45 subscribers on YouTube, and he had a doctor on his show that was highly known in his space. And he had like 12,000 views to his podcast in the first week. And then he hit like 1,000 subscribers over the first month. And we said, hey, double down, kind of create that. I know you can't have the guest back on the podcast all the time, but maybe ask if he'd be open to being a guest again and sharing it out again. And, it's really important to have your guests, ask them politely to share out the content as well when they're on your show too. And that guy did that. So it helped his channel grow on that sense. And then, he started hitting specific numbers to become a YouTube partner through that process, because you have to have like 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers and so on to get to be a partner. But, it's just like thinking a little bit differently. Like if people aren't seeing results, like there's something needs to change or swap out, and don't just keep doing the same thing if you're not seeing results. Like something has to change. And that's what we help like strategize with people too.
So let me ask you this, and we're not doing things for our episodes like on the level that you're doing, but like we do 3 pieces of content for every episode. We do like the full length episode, which it depends. Sometimes they're 45 minutes, sometimes they're 60 minutes, whatever it is. We do a 30-second teaser, which is cool, gets a little views here and there. But we actually find the videos that bring even the most subscribers to our channels are between 5 minutes and 8 minutes. Those segments tend to be which bring the most people to our channel. Are you seeing that with your clients? Are you seeing things like that with length or with the content, or like what are you seeing drive the most? Other than like somebody being popular, what are you seeing drive the most? Subscribes and things to channels.
Yeah. So there's 2 parts to this. So on the side,
sorry, that was a really long question.
so for the solo content part. Like you said, like the 5 to 8 minute mark for us, we've seen it between like 8 and 12 minutes for our clients. So like when you have the solo content, really focus on that time frame, and then create those micro pieces of content that lead back to that episode to get more watch time. Because when people click on it, they're going to see like how long the episode is, and they might be thinking like, oh, I've got 5 to 8 minutes to watch this, or I'm in the car, I'm driving, I can listen to it. Even if it's on a video app, they can still listen to it at the same time. And so think of that way. When you're working on it on the other side, when you have like guests as well, what we do is another tip is to post as collaborators on different platforms like Instagram. So when your guest accepts the collaboration, and literally ask them, like, because they'll get a notification and be like, why does Tamara want to collaborate with me? I'm like, why not?
I didn't know what that was the first time I saw it. I'm kind of like, wait, what? They want my post?
Yeah. And so it's populating in both of your feeds. So So it
Okay.
helps that engagement on there, and then make sure you have some direct call to action within the copy. Of course, Instagram's different because you can't click the link. So it's the call to action is click the link in the bio to listen to the full podcast episode, and either have your link tree or whatever you have up there that's promoting several links, the podcast link or whatnot, and then do that. We actually had 3 of our clients. We did that same method for guest episodes for all 3 of them. One reel took off for each of them. After we tested it, it drove over 1,100 views back to their YouTube video within the first 24 hours.
Wow.
For all 3 of them. So, and you know, YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, you can kind of see these little bursts of like, oh, look, reels are taking off again. And then all of a sudden it's like, it plays little games with you, and it's going to continue to do that. But you want to keep testing it. So why not have other people help share it? So once you've done the shared in collaboration, they accept that and it's in the feed. Then you, all of you, both of you, share the share button into the feed as into the stories. Then link the call to action into the stories with the reel. So if people see the reel, they have two ways to actually connect. So in that story, you're going to push it. They're either going to go to watch the reel, or they're going to click that link back to the YouTube video. So you're getting an option either way. You're like, okay, which one are they going to push? Are they going to tap forward? And from there, you could just put the whole video into your stories back to back if it's under 60 seconds. So then you've got it watched. And so we've got lots of strategies that we do for our clients.
Wow.
And we do all of it for them. It's like a done for you, like boom system. Like, again, like all I do is push record and everything's gonna just going. And we've just been grateful to see a lot of great results, but also like, again, anytime something shifts and change those strategies with your social media method as well. So there's a lot that you can do. So I won't tell you all the
I feel like
strategies,
we could literally just like end our conversation there, and people would be like, "Damn, that's incredible!" Like I'm gonna actually send that to my marketing team now, and be like, "Guys, watch this." But like, I think that's a really interesting point to understand. But I think the bigger thing here that we've kind of been talking about, and I think you see this whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's a lot of these places. I think sometimes marketers can get too much into a tactic than a strategy, right? Because tactics can change based on a platform changing a rule or a platform not existing anymore, whatever it may be. But if you have a long-form strategy, then the tactics you're using can be flexible, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's literally about strategy and being able to shift that with the mold, because it's even it's switching up the tactics of like how things are actually created or the way things look, graphics, videos, shifting from bars to poppy captions to whatever that looks like. You want to jump on the train with people and be able to shift and have your clients do the same rather quickly, because all of a sudden people are left in the dust, and then 6 months later you might try something that looked cool 6 months ago, but now something else is being utilized. And so we're really good at just kind of paying attention and always just seeing what's going on, tracking the metrics, and seeing what the engagement's like as well. So, I mean, that's what's really important to us, is we want to see results for our clients, and we want to, have people engage with them so they can build a following, get more leads, get more sales, get more relationships, get more speaking gigs, invites, things like that. So
it's something that I've noticed, and I don't know if this is true, so you can correct me on this, but it seems like, whether it's YouTube or whether it's Instagram or whether it's any of these other platforms, it seems like they're starting to prioritize engagement more than a lot of the other things, right? Because you have people who are like, oh, I have 100,000 followers. You have but why do you have 20 likes on all of your photos? Like, that's kind of weird. So, like, are you seeing that as well, where they're starting to prioritize engagement over other types of things?
Yeah. So, you want to get people to start doing more interaction in the post too. And it's very important for the copy that goes with the call to action with the micro content. You want to, if you're setting up a mini chat bot or something, like put the word like event down here, and they get the information to their inbox. Like, there's a lot of cool strategies with that people can do. But also doing that aspect, because people are like, yeah, I want that checklist or that free gift or that book or whatever it looks like, or that information. Like, you want more people to put comments down there, and you want to keep interacting with them. Or once you do that, like, keep the interaction going. Once you've delivered what they said, ask them another question so they keep posting, or get them to tag somebody on the post. Like, That's a good one on a lot of like marketing companies or products and stuff like that. Like, hey, tag 3 friends that you might think might enjoy this, product or something like that. Or, here, so if it's like a fitness industry or health industry, it's like tag 3 friends that, might want to sign up to win this pack of protein shakes. I don't know. Like it can be different, but the same for like all different industries. You just have to figure out your marketing, your verbiage, and what that engagement question is. But yes, I agree. Engagement is one of the biggest things, and you try them on all the platforms and see which one does best. And then, people say like, well, I only double down on one platform, and that's great. That can be like your primary platform that you focus on, but why not have a system that allows you to be omnipresent everywhere? You can focus on that yourself, and then you have a team that's like boosting you everywhere. So other opportunities can occur from other platforms too. So yeah.
So let me ask you this, like you live in video and content creation, like you're in this every day. So you kind of have your finger on the pulse, but I'm curious, like when you talk to creators, what is the biggest thing that surprises you that they don't know when they kind of, get more into the video world?
How easy it is. like once they get going, so I teach all of our clients to batch record, right? So I don't actually create content every day. I don't want to. It's one of those things, like I do other things now, like invest in companies or, do negotiations and stuff like that. So that's more like my passion now. But my team, like I said, once a quarter, I set up one of my video producers to come out for 3 days, and we rock out a whole season of podcasts for solo content, and we rock out reels, we rock out TikTok videos, we rock out in 3 days. And I have the entire season of podcasts and content for YouTube all recorded in 3 days. So I have it set up again for September 13th. I'm doing the same thing. And I'm also recording a new course as well that will be getting up in Kajabi. But like that's my quarter. Like I literally don't want to be creating content all the time. It's easy for me to say like, here's the content I want to talk about. Here's the topics I should talk about because we did the market research and the SEO. And then do that, and so it's been helpful to our clients when we say, hey, once you're recording a podcast, once you're done with the podcast, take your cell phone, record a few quick clips of the tips that you just shared in the longer form, drop that in the folder as well. And then you basically have that aspect. So we've got people, they don't necessarily batch record 12 videos like me, but they'll batch record maybe 4 videos in one day, change their shirt, and they're done for the month. Right?
The wardrobe change is important, by the way. Like having a rack of things off camera ready to go. So like, wait, did they record all these on one day? Like that is really important.
Yes, it was all one day. Yeah, I busted out a whole LinkedIn learning course in 2 days, and they thought they were like, "How did you do that?" Because they set me up for 5 days, and I told LinkedIn, I said, "I'm not going to need 5 days. Let me roll, and I'll get it done in 2." And they didn't believe me, but when I did it, they're like, "Wow, that's not normal," which is fine, but I'm just saying for everybody out there that it's easy to set aside some time on your calendar, select the topics, prepare if you need a teleprompter or not, or if you just have bullet points, this is what I'm going to talk about, here's 4 points to XYZ, and then create the micro content for those 4 points and so on. So it's really just once you get going, people are like, oh, that wasn't so bad. It wasn't so hard. It was actually easy. Because when you have direction and then you just either have help filming or some direction on how to set it up yourself, then you can get going and do the batch recording. Even if it's just a few videos at a time, that's totally fine. But you have the ability to do it. And then you have a simple smartphone right near you as well that can do vertical little tip videos that can match the content that you just did in the long form as well. So it's just about setting your boundaries of your timeline and stuff, like what's most important to you. How often do you want to create content? Because you don't have to create it too often, but just stay up to date with what's going on and just knock out stuff. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you get and the easier it gets.
Tamara, I guess looking at how easy it is, one of the things that I know I stressed on early on, and I'm sure a lot of other people may stress on early on, how important is the video quality and the audio quality and the lighting and all these things. To me, that was overwhelming, and it was one of the reasons I didn't start right away. And I guess how important is all that stuff?
Well, it can be different for different people's opinions, right? So at this point, like, I was quite the perfectionist back in the day, and I was like, oh gosh, everything has to be perfect. And, because I owned a production company back years ago, right? So I was like, oh, it's all about quality. And yes, people were attracted to quality, but look at what's going on micro content and TikTok, and the fact that our phones, our mobile devices can record in HD, which is totally fine to use, or 4K, which is higher quality. You can use your phones to record higher quality. Your computers can record higher quality if it's not in Zoom, right? So Zoom is going to be an app that you don't get full HD unless you upgrade to this higher package, right?
Yeah.
But there's different apps like Riverside and other things like that will take like a better quality there. And as long as you are facing your light, like your light source, like you're not going to be a silhouette, you're not going to be washed out, there's different tips and tricks to do that. And as long as people can hear you, like if it's not a podcast, it's just content for something, you can just record with your phone, and as long as you're not in the subway or at the bus stop or, or an airport, like things can be okay. You don't have to be perfect to get started, and just try it, and then you can test something. You're like, oh, that sound was like my thumb was over the audio. Oops, I
had a microphone upside down one time, and I was talking into the wrong end of the mic. It was a new mic. It was the first time I used it. It sounded like I was like in a garbage can, like hiding.
Yeah, no, there's different things that we just test it, right? And but we have the tools, from ring lights to facing a window to getting a microphone that's affordable to start, to using your smartphone. You can do whatever you feel is most comfortable to you, and just test it out and see if it's how you want to record that way again. Just do some different tests. Your computer, your phone, ring light, somewhere quiet, a microphone. But yeah, it's one of those things. People are more enduring the content itself now than like, oh, she looks really polished or something, like I'm just on my computer right now. Like I just have a ring light and I have a blue mic down here, but it's literally like, this is very basic as I'm building out my other podcast studio right now, but
sure,
you don't have to, but I do little quick tips just on my cell phone all the time. So it's, again, as long as they can see you and hear you and you have good points, I think you're rocking it.
Awesome. Well, Tamara, I've really enjoyed this conversation. I think we pulled out a lot of things that people can use to kind of get moving right away. But I know at the same time, you had something you really wanted to help creators with about ways they can repurpose their content. So I think you have something for our audience, and then also where can they go find you?
Yeah, actually, if you just go to broadcastyourauthority.com, you just keep it simple. We have our free guide on the website right there. You'll see the button. It's 7 ways to repurpose your podcast content. And it's a free guide that you can just download and grab a bunch of simple tips. Some of the stuff that I had actually shared today, but also some additional stuff that can help, just giving you some other ideas on how you can repurpose your podcast.
Very cool. Well, Tamara Thompson, great to reconnect, and thanks for coming on today.
Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate you.